In the NFL, hype isn't just noise, it's currency, and no player in recent history has entered the league with more hype-based value than Shedeur Sanders. Before he ever suited up for Cleveland, he had already become part debate, part culture shift, and part marketing experiment. That's the difference between being a college star and being a media product.
It's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on him? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on him. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that. And when you're talking about the owners, I'm going to keep in mind, and I tweeted about this, seems very Kaepernick-like, as in Colin Kaepernick.
Attention follows you, but pressure follows even faster. To understand Shedeur's situation with the Browns, you have to understand the context he walked into. Cleveland is one of those franchises that lives perpetually on the edge between hope and heartbreak. For years, they sold fans the idea that they were one piece away, one quarterback away, one coach away, one season away from finally turning the corner, and every time that corner came closer, something went sideways. Injuries, coaching changes, locker room drama, roster implosions. It doesn't matter how skilled the car is if the steering wheel keeps changing drivers. So when Shedeur arrived, people didn't just ask if he could succeed, they asked if Cleveland could finally stop failing. That's a very different kind of weight, because in college, Shedeur was able to build his own ecosystem. He had the culture, he had the social media attention, and he had a coach who was also his father, someone who understood the pressure, the cameras, and the expectation game better than most college coaches ever will. In the NFL, he lost all 3 advantages on day 1.
Predict Shedeur and Travis going in the draft.
Top 4.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Anywhere from 1 through 4. One of them is going to be 1.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of them is going to be
speak it
1.
into existence.
And the latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because I know where I kind of want them to go. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't going to happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's going to be it's going to be an Eli.
The league is unforgiving. It exposes mechanics, habits, and decision-making in ways college football never could. In college, Shedeur could extend plays, throw late across his body, or talk defenders into psychological mistakes. The NFL doesn't respond to mind games. It responds to timing windows, pressure packages, and film study. Defensive coordinators don't argue on social media. They punish you in zone coverage. Even analysts were split early in the season. Some saw a polished young quarterback with excellent touch and a calm rhythm in the pocket. Others saw a player who held the ball too long, stared down receivers, and hadn't made the leap from playing college hero ball to playing professional structure ball. And as always, quarterbacks become symbols for bigger conversations. Conversations about the NIL era, conversations about generational branding, conversations about whether the modern NFL values personality more than production. But Shedeur wasn't just entering a system, he was entering Cleveland, a city that loves its football almost as much as it hates disappointment. And disappointment is what the Browns have been conditioned to expect. That creates a weird gridlock, a fan base desperate for success, a team desperate for direction, and a quarterback desperate to prove he's more than just a headline. Meanwhile, social media added gasoline to the situation. Every throw, every misread, every big moment turned into instant commentary. Browns fans were arguing with college fans were arguing with NFL analysts, and NFL analysts were arguing with each other. On Twitter, you'd see posts like, "Y'all hate this kid because he got confidence. Let him cook." Right next to, "This ain't Colorado anymore. This is the league. Get the ball out." And then the most Cleveland-coded take of them all, "If we ruin another QB, I'm switching teams, I swear."
The NFL views you and values you. They will humble every player. And so I think for the Sanders camp, they had this perception of Shedeur as a lock top 2 or 3 draft pick, and they approached the process that way. And there was never anyone from the outside who could get through to them and say, wait a second, he's not guaranteed to be a top 2 or 3 draft pick. And the fact that you are approaching this process that way is hurting him. You know, there's this almost folk story about Dion. The New York Giants asked him to take the Wonderlic during his pre-draft process, and he raised his hand and said, "What pick do you have?" And they answered, and he said, "I'll be gone by then," and he got up and left. Now, I don't know if that story's true or not, but it's been around as long as I've been alive, right? And it almost felt like they were handling the process that same way of saying, okay, well, we're not gonna give our all to teams drafting late in the first round because we're not going to be there. And it felt more like they were saying, why should we want you? Why should Shedeur Sanders want the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers? Instead of what every other prospect does is they go into those interviews and say, here's why you should want me. You're selling yourself. It's a job interview. And they really didn't approach it that way. And I think, you know, I don't know that it was personal from the NFL. I think people were just turned off by how they handled the process. And then you have to go through the conversation of how much attention are you willing for a backup quarterback to have in your building? Because once you get past the starter portion of the draft, you're a backup. Once we got there, it becomes the conversation of, okay, do we want all this attention around a quarterback that might be our third guy? And at Cleveland, he might be the fourth guy. And so I think once the slide started, it was hard to stop because of that.
Instagram Reels were full of highlight edits calling him the future. Reddit threads were full of people diagnosing the offensive line like amateur neurosurgeons. TikTok stitched every mistake with clips of Coach Prime saying, "We comin'," like it was prophecy. In the modern NFL, the battle isn't just on the field, it's in the comment section. For years, the Browns sold the idea that they were one piece away, one coach away, one offseason away, one draft class away. Every spring promised transformation. Every fall delivered reality. And it wasn't always because the players weren't talented. Sometimes the roster looked good enough to believe in. But belief requires alignment, and alignment is a luxury the Browns rarely possessed. So when Shedeur arrived, the question wasn't, can he succeed? The question was, can Cleveland stop failing long enough to let him? That's a different kind of pressure. College gifted him control. The culture, the camera, the messaging, and the coaching staff built around his gravity. The NFL stripped all of that away on day one. Here, the game is older, colder, and less impressed by flash. The league exposes what college hides. It punishes mechanics, decision-making, eye discipline, tempo, and arrogance. In college, Shedeur extended plays and made defenders chase shadows. In the NFL, shadows don't chase. Blitz packages do. College was about talent. The NFL is about timing, and timing in its purest form is unforgiving. But the evaluation was never unanimous. Analysts who understood quarterback play watched his tape and saw the subtleties, the touch on seam routes, the anticipation in tight windows, the composure against disguised fronts. Others saw flaws, holding the ball too long, playing hero ball, misreading leverage. Quarterbacks don't just get critiqued, they become symbols. And Shedeur became a symbol for something bigger, the NIL era, the content era, the brand-first athlete, and the son of a legend narrative rolling into pro football with swagger instead of silence. Cleveland wasn't just receiving a quarterback, they were receiving a conversation, and conversations travel faster than playbooks. Before he took a snap, the debates ignited. Can the Sanders brand survive the NFL? Can Coach Prime's cultural shockwave cross over into a league built on discipline rather than charisma? Can hype build wins? Can attention become leadership? The questions were heavy, and the answers would be earned on grass, not Instagram.
Did Tom Brady sabotage Shedeur because he's plotting one last comeback? It's not as crazy as you might think. Mark Davis wanted Tom Brady to be a part owner so bad, he basically gave him 5% of the Raiders for hundreds of millions less than it was worth.
Social media didn't wait for data. It never does. Twitter argued as if the games were already played. On one timeline, Shedeur was the future. On another, he was a marketing stunt waiting to fail. Instagram Reels edited him into the next Mahomes. Reddit threads broke down his footwork with the intensity of film room interns. TikTok stitched clips of Coach Prime saying, "We comin'," and added captions like destiny was already confirmed. But behind all of the noise, something more real was happening. Executives across the league were quietly asking if Cleveland was building a structure or just chasing a storyline. Because the NFL has seen this before. It saw it with Johnny Manziel, hype without adult structure. It saw it with RG3, talent without protection. It saw it with Baker Mayfield, swagger without long-term alignment. It even saw it with Andrew Luck, brilliance without an offensive line to keep him alive. History teaches a harsh lesson. Quarterbacks don't just need ability, they need environment. They need receivers who separate, linemen who protect, coordinators who understand leverage and timing, and organizations that avoid panic. Without that, talent withers. And here lies Cleveland's dilemma. For 20 years, they drafted quarterbacks with the expectation that the quarterback would save the franchise. Rarely did they consider whether the franchise could save the quarterback. Shedeur's situation flipped the script. He didn't arrive to be saved, he arrived to be maximized. That's a subtle but monumental difference. Players who need rescuing don't move culture. Players who move culture need organization. Coach Prime, whether people like it or not, changed football before Shedeur even reached the league. He made recruiting a media event. He made college football a content market. He made brand building a necessity instead of a luxury. Older NFL minds hated it. Younger NFL minds understood that the sport had already crossed that line years ago. Shedeur just forced everyone to admit it. But cinematic narratives require antagonism, and the antagonist here wasn't a person, it was Cleveland's history. A history that swallowed rookies whole, a history that mistook patience for weakness and change for chaos, a franchise that built great defenses but sabotaged offenses, a fan base with more scars than trophies.
Where do you think you'll get drafted if you were in this year's draft?
I'm biased. Because I don't see a quarterback better than me. Okay. I don't see a quarterback that went through as much adversity as me, that done had 4 different OCs in 4 years. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, coming from an HBCU, coming to a Power 5, having real pressure on. Right. A lot of people don't understand it's a lot more adversity than you think, just even being the son of Shedeur Sanders.
If Shedeur was going to survive, he'd need more than hype. He'd need structure, and early signs hinted that Cleveland was trying to build chemistry with receivers, trying to stabilize the offensive line, trying to modernize the scheme. But trying doesn't guarantee success. Trying only guarantees exposure. And in the NFL, exposure is a currency just as volatile as hype. The intriguing part of all this isn't whether Shedeur has talent. Talent was the least controversial part of the evaluation. The intriguing part is whether Cleveland becomes the first franchise to build with him instead of around him. Because there's a difference between giving a quarterback weapons and giving him alignment. One wins highlight reels, the other wins seasons. And while fans debated the philosophical, the media debated the practical. Could Shedeur read NFL defenses at NFL speed? Could he adjust to disguised coverages? Could he win from the pocket when option routes blew up? Could he throw on time when the second window disappeared? These are not questions college asks. These are questions the league demands. Yet beneath every take, positive or negative, was curiosity, genuine curiosity. Because no matter how skeptical analysts were, nobody could deny he had brought relevance to a team that rarely possessed it. Networks knew it, opponents knew it, even the schedule makers knew it. Cleveland wasn't being ignored anymore. And in the NFL, relevance is a sign of one thing: potential. That's what makes Shedeur fascinating. He is neither guaranteed success nor guaranteed failure. He is a fork in the road for the franchise and for the era he represents. Football traditionalists can pretend the game hasn't changed, but the NIL generation has arrived with more business acumen and more confidence than any class before them. They don't just enter the league, they arrive with leverage. And so the question that sits at the center of this cinematic experiment is not whether Shedeur Sanders can become a franchise quarterback, it's whether Cleveland can become the kind of franchise a quarterback can grow in. That's a much rarer challenge, because the NFL has always been good at measuring players. It has never been as good at measuring environments. For Cleveland, this season isn't just another chapter, it's a referendum on patience, development, culture, and modern quarterbacking, a referendum on whether the era of hype and branding can coexist with the era of structure and execution, and a referendum on whether a city built on heartbreak can finally build something worthy of hope. So, until the field delivers the answers, the debate continues. Loud, chaotic, emotional, cinematic, exactly the way modern football was designed to be consumed. If you're watching this breakdown and you want more of these deep dives into players, culture, psychology, and the stories that define the modern game, make sure you like the video, drop your thoughts below, send it to someone who actually watches football, and subscribe, because Shedeur Sanders' story in Cleveland is only in its opening chapters.